What's good, everyone? What's good? What's good? So I was going to do a whole video of it, like a separate video instead of live, and do the start and sit, and I made it. And for some reason, it never downloaded to my computer, which it said it did. And then I deleted it off my phone, and it never sent it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna restart that 19-minute video of me redoing again for another 20 minutes. Let me just go live and do it. So here we are, start and sit of this week, fantasy football. This is gonna be only live we're gonna be doing for start and sit for this week. Next week we'll actually do a video, so we'll go back to the video part. I just gotta double check next time, but just know that tomorrow and Friday we'll be doing start sit for quarterbacks, running backs only, and then Friday we'll do wide receiver and tight end. I might put in defense and kickers here and there, but yeah. So let's start now. Quarterback Prescott versus the New York Jets. Start. You want to start Prescott, leads Cowboys passing attack match favorable versus the Jets. Just a passing game on defense has been pretty bad. Um, it's easy the fact that Prescott's going to go off versus the Jets just by how the Cowboys been, clicking on all the cylinders here and there. I feel like Prescott's going to do really well versus the Jets. Um, yeah, I'm a Jets fan. I'm not going to go into more detail about my team because I'm annoyed. Now, as for Patrick Mahomes, you want to start him versus the Jaguars. The reason why is that elite quarterback Jaguar secondary is a little bit but as you know, you should always start Patrick Mahomes every single week. You want to do it. Yes, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore. Yes, Travis Kelsey hasn't been the same. And also the fact that you don't really have that many good wide receivers on the team. So Patrick Mahomes still gonna do his thing. The Jaguars aren't really that scary of a team on defense. They're good, but Patrick Mahomes will do his thing. This next one will be a little bit surprising. Jalen Hurts versus the Denver Broncos. Dual threat quarterback. Denver struggles versus rushing quarterback. If you know Denver, they're not good when it comes to mobile quarterbacks. They tend to kind of like be pretty bad. But if you're not a mobile quarterback, Denver's defense is like really good. So look for Denver to struggle with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts could be using a lot with his legs in this game. Um, yeah, easy start for Jalen Hurts. Every single week, start Jalen Hurts. Now, as for sit, there's gonna be one shocker, but two I definitely should sit. The one, Geno Smith versus the Colts, the Raiders quarterback Geno Smith, sit him. Colts defense tough versus quarterbacks, a limited upside. Last week was horrible for Geno Smith. Geno Smith hasn't been good since he's been joining the Raiders organization. I don't know why. Like you have Brock Bauer, you have Jacoby Meyer, you have other wide receivers that are pretty decent, and you have Genty. But for some reason, I don't know, with Geno Smith, maybe the offensive coordinator, maybe someone else. It's just Geno Smith hasn't been the greatest since joining. So definitely sit Geno Smith versus the Colts. This next one's a little bit of a shocker. We have Bo Nix versus the Philadelphia Eagles. You'll be thinking, all right, Bo Nix did really good last week. Yes, to a poor Bengals defense. And the fact that, yes, Bo Nix first a couple of tough defense, he did somewhat decent. This Eagles defense a little bit more surprising. Because if you saw them really versus the Rams and you saw them versus other teams, you would think the defense would be a little bit of a slack. No, for some reason, the Eagles defense always find a way to step up, and it's gonna look pretty silly to start Bo Nix against this Eagles defense that are somewhat surprised you week in and week out. Now, last quarterback I would say is Cooper Rush. Going to be starting quarterback this week for the Baltimore Ravens. As you guys may or may not know, Lamar Jackson will be out for 2 to 3 games. So look for Cooper Rush to be the starting quarterback going forward for these couple of weeks. And you're versing a Houston Texans defense that's really like not good, but I don't trust Cooper Rush. I think Cooper Rush was on the Cowboys, so I just don't really trust him to start. But if you have to, I guess you can start him if you really have to. Rate my team: Justin Herbert, Bucky Irving, Brees Hall, Puka, Chris Godwin, Zay Flowers, Chase, Dewan Johnson, Kittle on the bench, and Chargers. Oh, You have a pretty good team, my guy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Justin Herbert's a little bit iffy. Bucky Irving, not bad. Brees Hall, Puka, good. Chris Godwin just got back, but it's gonna get mojo back. Dave Flowers, good. Chief, oh, uh, Juwan Johnson. I like Kittle. If I'm gonna do 1 being bad, 10 being great, I'm gonna give it a 6. I'm gonna give it 6/7. The reason why is that Justin Herbert's not been the greatest. Brees Hall's a little bit up and down. Uh, Chase, I'm not really a fan of him. Uh, I think those three are your major key impacts. Let me change it to 7. Let me change it to 7. 6 a little bit under. 6 disrespectful. I'm gonna do 7. 8 kind of pushing it. But I like Juwan Johnson. I have him too. He's doing amazing. Last week wasn't that bad. Uh, but you would have a 7, more likely 17. Should I start Justin Herbert or Drake May? Let me check. You said Justin Herbert or Drake May. NFL. All right, let me check the team. That's going to be everything. Justin Herbert, Washington, and then Drake May. Oh, wow. I would say start Justin Herbert. I can't trust Drake May versus a really good Bills defense. The Commanders defense is a little bit of a slack. So start Justin Herbert because Drake May, Bills defense is not the greatest matchup. You do not want to start him. So definitely do Herbert. Now let's go back to it. Let's do all right, so now let's do starting running backs. Let's start Jahmyr Gibbs versus the Bengals. Don't have to tell you why. It's easily Bengals are horrible right now. Defense is horrendous. Next running back, Jonathan Taylor, Colts versus Las Vegas Raiders. Excellent matchup. Expected to handle most carries. Always start Jonathan Taylor every single week, easily. Travis Etienne, Jaguars for Chiefs. Workhorse back will receive upside. People are going to be a little bit iffy about that. They're like, wait, he didn't do that well last week. There's going to be a decline. No, I think the Chiefs' defense are not that scary. And on the run, the Jaguars will definitely do some work, especially in the receiving side for the running backs. So look for Travis to do his thing versus the Chiefs this week. Now, as for sit, Javonte Williams, Dallas versus the Jets. Committee role, Jets run defense is solid. Yeah, I feel the Jets' run defense has been really good the last couple of seasons. And pretty much like Dallas's running backs are not that like good, and they're so like split carries wise. So it's like, why would you start Javonte Williams if he's really not gonna be like a Barkley type or I guess you want to say prime is a prime Ezekiel Elliott type. So wouldn't start Javonte Williams. It's gonna be really risky. Only time you're gonna use him is like towards the touchdown area, but now as for Hubbard, Carolina versus Miami, it's a little bit of a risk, kind of, because I saw how Miami did with the run versus the Jets, and they did pretty good versus the Jets and Brees Hall, so it's a different story. But Carolina still isn't the greatest. Their front is pretty weak, so look for Miami to attack the running back pretty easily on this one. But Chuba Hubbard, first name. I can tell he can somewhat do pretty decent in this game, but just sit him if you have anyone that's better than him. Now let's move on to wide receivers. George Pickens versus the Jets. Clearly start him. Jets secondary is not the greatest right now. I don't know why we signed Sauce Gardner and all to. But definitely start George Pickens, clear number 1 wide receiver for the Cowboys. Lamb is out for I think 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. So George Pickens, clear number 1 option right now. Next wide receiver to start is St. Brown, Detroit versus Bengals. Lions primary target. Always start him every single week. Bengals defense is horrendous. Easily going to go off this game. Then we're going to be doing this. I also would say that you should definitely start Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen. I'll say Keenan Allen slash Johnson. If you know, I think the first name starts with a Q. Definitely start both of them. Easily this matchup versus the Commanders. I think both of them are going to go off. I just have a weird feeling they've just been really good at connecting with Justin Herbert. Just the offensive line needs to stop messing up. Let block for Herbert. Block for Herbert. That's easy. Now, the last wide receiver I'm going to say is Jalen Waddle. Maybe thinking, okay, yeah, number one option now. Tyreek Hill's out for the rest of the season. But the reason why is that Jalen Waddle's going to get more targets coming his way. And Tua doesn't really trust the other wide receivers on the team. Yes, you have Malik Washington. Yes, you have Darren Waller as tight end. But technically, Luka Waddle will get a lot more catches in this game. Now, as for sit, I could say a couple of sits, but like I'm just gonna say Jacoby Myers. The reason why is that there's other players. You say Giants wide receivers, but it's too much up in the air. Some of these wide receivers right now. So the only one I gotta say is Jacoby Myers, Raider at Colts. The reason why is that the Colts really good defense. Geno Smith cannot throw for his life. So look for Jacoby Myers to not get that many passes because it looks like the other wide receivers are coming into play and who are taking more snaps out of Jacoby Myers as well as Brock Bowers. So yeah. Now let's move on to tight end. Tight end start Mark Andrew versus the Texans. Mark Andrew last week, I feel like he's back into his mojo. Both the Texans are weak when it comes to tight end. Definitely start Mark Andrew. Dan Laporta, same thing. Always start him week in, week out. Versus the Bengals. The Bengals are not good at defense. Start Sam Laporta. Don't have to explain anything like that. And last but not least, the start is Harold Finn Jr. for the Vikings. Some of you will be like, wait, you have a rookie quarterback going to be starting instead of Joe Flacco. Oh, you have the other tight end, which I get it. But this tight end doing a lot more than the other tight end. And the Vikings, they're somewhat, a little iffy when it comes to like red zone. And I think Harold Finn Jr. are going to do somewhat good when it comes to the red zone for the Browns and this game. Now, as for sit, these players you definitely got to sit right now. You got Tyler Higbee, Rams for San Fran. Higbee has barely got any catches. Like, what the most fantasy points he got was like 5. He hasn't been getting nothing because no Cooper Cup anymore. You have Puka, you have Devontae Adams, and it's just those two guys are I forgot his name. The quarterback, I forgot his name. Matthew Stafford's primary target. If Devontae Adams or Puka goes out, his usage is going to be much higher. But right now, just avoid him at all costs. Next one is the Titans tight end. I can't pronounce his name at all, but you guys know. If you look him up, you know who he is. Definitely do not start him at all. Not even so last week. He put up 11 fantasy points versus my opponent, and my opponent had him. And he only gave him 1. You can't trust a tight end player right now. You can maybe because of the running back, maybe Calvin Ridley. Maybe. But I would avoid every Titans player at the moment. Cam Ward is still young. The coaches are horrible. Yeah, it's just not worth it starting the tight end. And last but not least, Noah Fant. As soon as Joe Burrow went out, Fant hasn't got nothing. And yeah, if Joe Burrow was still in, I would say definitely start for sure. But quarterback for the Bengals right now, horrendous. And now, what else? Let's see. Okay, let's do defense. Vikings versus Browns, facing a Browns offense that has struggled. Vikings defense is poised for a strong performance once again. Easily on that, definitely should start the Vikings defense versus the Browns. You're starting a rookie quarterback for the Browns in London, first ever game ever in the NFL. So it's going to be an easy task for the Vikings to honestly dominate on the defense side of the ball once again. I think it's been like 2 or 3 weeks already that the Vikings defense has been awesome. Now, after Seattle Seahawks defense versus the Bucks somewhat been kind of inconsistent last game. I want to say overall, but last game kind of inconsistent because of Chris Godwin's presence. He's trying to get back into his mojo. Mike Evans out for a few weeks, which stinks. I have him in fantasy. And the rookie wide receiver is the only one doing a lot of things. Tynet's not doing a whole lot. So I would definitely start the Seattle Seahawks defense. They're going to do much more in this game because they're trying to get the Bucks offense in motion. It's taking a little bit uncomfortable right now, the Bucks offense. But look for the Seattle Seahawks to stay with their A game with their defense. It's been amazing. Now the sit is the Cleveland Browns defense versus the Vikings. If you see Carson Wentz, Justin Jefferson, and company, they've been doing amazing last 2 weeks with Wentz as a starting quarterback. Should definitely sit the Cleveland Browns defense because the Cleveland Browns defense has been a little bit shaky too. Now, as for the Titans defense versus the Cardinals, definitely sit them at all costs. No matter what team you're versing, don't ever start the Titans defense. Now let's move on to kicker. Spencer Strider, Colts versus Raiders. Easily start Spencer. You can have a lot of kicking, really. Well, not a lot, but I think he can give you a good amount of kicking. Even if the Raiders do somewhat stop the Colts offense at the 20 or 10 or 30-yard line, look for Strider to do his thing, but they're more likely to be down the field easily in this game versus the Raiders. As for Will Lutz, Broncos at Philly, I think he's definitely get a lot of opportunity to kick because how good the Eagles defense is. Look for the Eagles defense to like stop the Broncos from like getting a touchdown and kick multiple field goals easily. Now, as for the sit, I'm gonna say like I don't really have a lot of like kickers you should sit. I would say like sit the Jets kicker because the offense is so dysfunctional right now. Um, I would say maybe the Browns kicker if for some reason a rookie quarterback is not good at going down the field. So I would say those two. And then I would say, I'm trying to think, the Bengals kicker. Do not start him because offense is horrendous, cannot go down the field at all. And yeah, guys, that is the start and sit of fantasy football week 5. Sorry about this whole live thing. I wasn't planning on doing this. It's like a whole error with my phone. I couldn't transfer the video. It was like 19 minutes long, or maybe it would have been shorter. I had to edit a whole lot, but in a way, I'm kind of happy I didn't have to edit because there's so much editing to freaking do. But yeah, guys, that is the week 5 of start and sit. We're going to be doing start and sit for each position starting tomorrow on Friday. Like I said last week, every single week we're going to be doing start and sit for those 2 days. Tomorrow's going to be the quarterback and running back. I might flip in like defense. And then as for Friday, it's going to be a wide receiver and tight end. I might flip into kicker. I might do that. I'm thinking about it, but I feel like kicker and defense is not really a bigger deal. Like people don't want to like really care about that. I think they're fine because, But I'll think about it. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions before I go, comment in the chat box. I'll be more happy to answer. I'll give it another, say, 2 minutes. Or not. All right, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. See you tomorrow. All right, peace. All right, how do you leave this? Totally forgot how to leave this chat. There you go.